I want to plug a book that was I'm an avid reader. I go through spurts where I read a lot. One of my favorite.
I also read a lot.
Well, thanks for that, Spice.
Yeah, I like to read fictional Christmas stories.
You're a big Christmas connoisseur.
I am. There's one that I'm really enjoy, which would be an Amazon Christmas.
You prefer books with pictures.
I do. This one has pictures. It has a good storyline. The hero thinks he has a purpose in life, but he kind of thinks he needs like a break from that, and he goes on vacation and he runs into problems, but ultimately gets solved.
Yeah. Yeah. And Amazon will deliver your Christmas presents in the month of December. An Amazon Christmas, you work that in. So I really enjoy, I read a lot of nonfiction, Christian fiction. I do read. I might plug a few books later. That's not for now. I really enjoy, though, sometimes reading, it's the right way to describe it, like cultural commentary. Like from a non-Christian cultural commentary, like looking at certain trends, things that happen in the world, and like extrapolating. Like I don't like a lot of authors that tell me what I need to conclude about things, but are leading me down a particular path. One of the guys, he's a fantastic storyteller, is Malcolm Gladwell. He's very famous for Tipping Point, Outliers, Blink. He was a New York Post columnist. What the Dog Saw is a collection of a bunch of different things that he wrote. He actually just came out, Revenge of the Tipping Point. He went back to one of his earlier books. I read that over Christmas. But he came out with a book a few years ago, and this was a really a lot of Christians had some problems with it because of just the premise. I didn't. I thoroughly enjoyed it, and it really got me thinking in a lot of different directions that played itself out in how I presented the story. Come to find out, the name of the book is David and Goliath, by Malcolm Gladwell, and the subtitle is Underdogs, Misfits, and the Art of Battling Giants. Again, Malcolm Gladwell, David and Goliath. I will say up front, regarding his presentation of David and Goliath, he removes all the supernatural elements of it. So like the idea of God giving the great victory is not included. The supernatural elements of Goliath, which we'll get to in a few minutes, he excludes. He actually postulates that Goliath was probably roughly 6'5", 6'4". Like again, the supernatural things he removes from entirely. The battle being the Lord's, etc. His whole observation is that the very things that made David an underdog and the very things that made Goliath a formidable foe are actually, if you look at the story, the very things that led to one having a great victory and having another a defeat. He talks about, and an example of how he removes out the supernatural. Like he talks about Goliath saying, "You come out with staffs like I'm a dog." It's plural actually in the Hebrew. We know that David came out with one staff, and he would make the point that Goliath had probably a tumor on one of the glands that caused him to grow to such a great height, which would also be an indication of dual vision. So he is saying, hey, you come out with staffs because he can't see David quite correctly. And then David's ability to move fast, his agility, are all of the things Goliath would have been very slow, would not have been nimble. If he's having a hard time seeing this, would explain why Goliath would have removed his helmet to try to help him gain a perspective, giving David an open line of sight. But the whole idea is that all of the things that conventional wisdom would say would be negatives for David are actually the things that gave David an advantage, a unique advantage. And so then he builds off of that, and he goes, like, he tells, just every chapter is a different story of like real world things. There's a chapter of like 80% of Fortune 500 CEOs are dyslexic, and like such an odd thing. And he writes a whole chapter on it. And the theory is that not being able to read in early childhood development education forces a kid to develop like negotiating skills because they've got to get more time to read. That this what is a problem actually then forces a person to adapt and evolve and do different things. And that gives them an advantage later in life. He tells a story like the second chapter. This guy gets recruited to be his daughter's basketball coach. They play in a league that's very good. All of his girls stink. Like none of them have any skill. None of them have any ability. Like they're going to lose every game if they try to like play basketball. And so he's like, and he kind of came from a different background, was not a basketball guy himself. But he's like looking at the game. He's like, well, there's two real significant areas of vulnerability. No matter how good you are or aren't, you have 5 seconds to inbound the ball. If not, the other team gets it. So you have, like, if you can keep the other team, like 5 seconds to inbound, if you can keep them from doing that, you get the ball. And it's like, that doesn't require ability or skill. It's just hustle and want to. And then, like, even if they inbound the ball, the next point of vulnerability before you even get into an offense is you get 10 seconds once you've inbounded it to get it across the midcourt line, or you get the ball. And like, if you can steal it, you don't have to be good at shooting because you get open layups. And his team, like, they ran this stretch, they beat everybody. Like, but it was like, embrace your weakness instead of looking at it as a negative. Lean into it, adapt, because in a lot of ways that might end up being the very thing that you need to be successful. Like, that's kind of what the book's about. It's a great book, worth a read. David and Goliath, Malcolm Gladwell. Quick thoughts?
I don't like that at all.
I do. It reminds me of the movie The Patriot, where they use guerrilla tactics to fight off the redcoats because they can't meet the redcoats.
There's a whole chapter. There's a whole chapter about guerrilla warfare.
Yeah, but what I don't like about that is that basically is calling what the Bible has written down a liar. And if the Bible's false, I mean, the Bible gives specific measurements of Goliath. And that doesn't, but
that's why I open that way. He literally writes about 4 pages on David and Goliath to start the book, to set up a premise.
So it's not a Christian book.
Oh, no, not at all.
Oh, okay.
No, he's not. I don't even know if he's a Christian.
Okay, that makes me feel much better. I thought
No. I don't even think. I think he might have become a Christian later, maybe even in writing this book. Malcolm Gladwell's an interesting thing. He's got a podcast I'd highly recommend. It's called Revisionist History. Fantastic podcast. He's a very smart guy.
Okay,
if you like eccentric things, it's great.
That makes me feel so much better because that to me takes away from the whole thing of the story of David and Goliath from the perspective of what we're even talking about.
100%.
And for me, it's if one thing in the Bible is false, the entire thing can be thrown out. And that to me is.
I fully agree with you. But here's the deal, and this is where like, and a lot of when this book came out, this is a couple of years old, a lot of Christians were bashing it, and it's like, you guys have totally missed the point. Like, he's not writing a commentary about David and Goliath. He's a secular dude making observations about real things that are weird trends in society. And he's using this story of David. He's got kind of a creative, like, again, this goes back to like, can you eat the meat and spit out the bones? Or are you going to just like, I enjoy these type of things because like, I'm totally cool with my bibliology and hermeneutics and like where I stand on the Bible. But it did give me an interesting thought about, because he actually interviews a guy that's very Israeli secret service, and they go through all the math about slinging, and that's where like that whole angle about the sling, and he even like references other warfares, other battles that have taken place where slingers played a significant role. And again, for me, it was just like, it got me thinking about certain things regarding the story that I thought were fresh insights. Again, this is not a Christian commentary on David and Goliath in any stretch of the imagination. I appreciate that.
That clears things up a lot for me.
I appreciate because I didn't want anybody that's watching this to have the same reaction. And if you do, I hope that helped clarify. Speaking of Goliath, episode 6.
Favorite episode.
I really enjoyed it. I liked it a lot.
I've seen all.
Okay, who?
To get ahead.
Why don't you give the quick synopsis of it?
I've seen all 8 episodes so far, but
I have 2. I've watched
6 has been my favorite, including. I hate to get to spoiler alert. David fights Goliath, but
dude. What?
number 6 is,
does he die?
Number 6 has been my favorite so far because we get a perspective that kind of gives life to Goliath as just instead of just being a giant, it gives background to him and kind of adds fuel to the fire of his hate and why he went out and started taunting the Hebrew people, and that I really appreciated that. Because it wasn't just a Philistine giant that was just going out there because he wanted to fight people. It was like he had a motivation to. So
let me give the quick synopsis of the episode. So it begins with I don't know, maybe before even the intro, the House of David logo and the music, this full, super accurate, lean into the supernatural story of the Nephilim and the sons of God and the daughters of men before the flood, what necessitated the flood. There's a full backstory.
I really enjoyed that.
Which was artistically done. It was a very beautiful way of storytelling. I really enjoyed it. But they don't and this is something that we've commented on that we've liked, and then they went all the way. We've liked the supernatural elements that up until episode 6 they've hinted at, alluded to, but then episode 6 they pull back the veil and go all the way. There was no half measure, even to the point that when the king of Gath comes in and is asking Orpah, which is also a cool detail, about the father, she's like, "Oh, well, you won't survive that." They don't take too kindly to men. Literally speaking of fallen angelic being the father of these children, of these Nephilim. So it opens with this backstory, this biblical backstory story that goes back to Genesis, and then leads you into even the times of Joshua coming into the land of Canaan. It plays out this a wonderful narrative. And then it gets into the mother of the giants, Orpah of Goliath and his brothers, they come to Gath. They're gonna lead them into battle against the Israelites. But Orpah's criteria is okay, they're gonna be worshipped as God. There's no half measure. You're gonna give your throne to them. They're not bowing the knee to you. They're gods, of which the Philistine king then rejects. So then we see Orpah and Goliath go back to the Valley of the Giants where the Anakim are staying. And then this story kind of unfolds where it's how do we get the giants back? And this Dog, I don't know how you would pronounce his name. How's his name? The same guy that we've seen hired by Abner to follow Samuel, who ends up killing Samuel's servant. Doeg is how you spell his name. I think
was it Doeg?
Doeg, maybe something like. He's a character later on, he is a character in 1 Samuel, but he ends up presenting an idea to the king of the Philistines that hey, I can get them back, and he ends up killing Orpah. And Orpah tells Goliath you need to revenge me. So that gives Goliath the motivation of okay, we're going to go do this, which is why he's blaspheming the God of Israel. Also gives some, and I love the connection. So Orpah, we find as a character in Ruth. She's a Moabitess. She is the sister-in-law of Ruth. Her mother-in-law would have been Naomi, if you're familiar with the story of Ruth. Jewish tradition holds that she becomes the mother of giants, the mother of Goliath, which then is an interesting thing because it puts David and Goliath in kind of the
bit of cousins of some kind.
Bit of a separate tree. I mean, it's loosely. At least there's a connecting point, but it gives more background into the connection of the Hebrew people and why they would be upset with them. Again, so much good character development, backstory. They leaned into the supernatural. A plus in my book. So, Pope C, you want to add anything?
I really, really enjoyed it. I thought the opening cinematic was great. I also watched 7. Right after,
you get it.
I know. Hold on, because I thought we were going to be doing 6 and 7 today. No, and you told me we were just doing 6. Now I'm trying to separate them out.
Yeah,
you went ahead. How dare you?
I know.
How dare I?
You liked it. Anyway, it was good.
I really enjoyed it. Yeah, I thought it was great.
Dear Daddy.
Yeah, same. I mean, I really enjoyed the fact that they embraced that. Like, I feel like if you think back to like when we were kids in Sunday school, we didn't know anything about that. Like it just got.
I don't know what Sunday school you were in.
Supernatural
part
of it.
Wait a second, you did a whole thing on dragons in Sunday school this week.
I mean, yeah, because I wasn't happy with my Sunday school experience. Hello, but yeah.
So at Calvary 316, you're gonna get the.
Yeah, we're going
the
supernatural.
Stuff,
yeah. Like I feel like the church that I grew up in, the supernatural stuff got tabooed into the background. Like, we'll read this part really fast, and then David slaying Goliath.
Wait,
and it was
so you were teaching on dragons? Because I'm supposed to teach on like the 25th of May or something. Should I teach on dragons?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
No,
keep it
circumcision. That'd be a good one.
All right.
Good luck with that. But
those 4th and 5th grade boys, you got them. You got them
still
spiced.
fresh. It's still fresh in their minds.
The 8th day.
Yeah. No, it was awesome.
I know what you're saying about like, and I think, especially when there's some type of a Christian attempt to do something that has like a crossover appeal.
Yeah.
People are afraid of like. I think this is what Mel Gibson did really well with The Passion of the Christ. It's like he just went for it. Like, we're just going to do this all the way, and the
put the weird part in there,
and it jumped, it popped. But by and large, so many of the things that we maybe there's like, oh, we're going to try to cross over, meaning we need to remove the weird.
Yes. Yeah,
and they don't do this at all.
Yeah, that was my childhood growing up in the church. There was
Which, by the way, Game of Thrones doesn't remove the weird. Like, people like the weird. The weird is fine.
Yeah,
we got White Walkers and dragons and all kinds of crazy
things. That's why Lord of the Rings and Harry Potter and all those shows are such huge hits, because they embrace the weird and like. And
then in the Christian realm, Lord of the Rings, Chronicles of Narnia, like.
The space trilogy.
There is a I know I'm
where if you
I'm
you want
stepping on your toes, but I'm with you.
If you want to watch the space trilogy, you can go back and watch my Pepper Poppers, which you can find on our Outlaw Radio YouTube channel. I reviewed the BBC version of the Chronicles of Narnia.
Space trilogy, the Chronicles of Narnia.
That's what it just said. Chronicles of Narnia.
No, you said Space Trilogy.
You should read this Space Trilogy, which is my favorite series from C.S. Lewis. But they haven't made a movie about it yet.
Pepper Poppers, because he doesn't even remember what he did about an hour ago.
I never remember what we're talking about on these things.
Not today, Say. So final thoughts, and then we're gonna get.
I've got one more.
We have a topic tonight.
We do. We're gonna get to it eventually. One of the things that I've talked about this before, I really like in terms of putting flesh onto the bones, that is the stories in scripture, is there are a couple of moments where specifically where the king of Gath, Achish, is talking to another Philistine king, and he's like, we haven't seen giants in how long, you actually believe they're real? And he's like, I've seen them. And I really enjoy the idea that they are not using characters who believe in the supernatural 100%. Because when you read through the Bible, like you get from Genesis to Samuel pretty quickly, and it's easy to forget that it's been hundreds of years,
right?
And since these people have seen miracles,
and we lose context of what hundreds of years really is. Yeah,
and it's really easy to think, oh, of course David believed in God, like he's seen all of these things that I haven't seen. It's only been 2 books since God crossed the Red Sea, like split the Red Sea for his people. How can David not believe in God? It's like, no, David probably had as much doubt then as we have now.
It'd be like reading about George Washington walking across the Potomac.
Right.
You know?
Exactly.
And then today be like, that I guess that happened.
Well, I think the geographic aspect of it too, we just don't think about it. Like when you were teaching on Sunday, I was showing Creighton like pictures because I've
you've been to the Valley of Allah.
But not just that, but I was showing him pictures of it while you were talking about it. So he was able to better visualize
and giving me range references.
Right. This it wasn't some big huge valley like we see here in the United States.
Right.
It was relatively small.
About a mile.
Yeah. Where you can actually picture like the amount of people there being in there, and it's not so big to imagine that for 40 days and 40 nights, they were all lined up just yelling at each other.
Which describes American politics today.
Yeah, pretty much.